Welcome to Before the Work Begins with me, Jo Hutton, senior yoga teacher and author of best-selling Substack Yoga for Tired People. And in this podcast, we speak to the movers, the shakers and the creatives and find out what they are doing before the work begins. Are they really getting up at 5 a.m. and taking cold plunges, or are they just trying to get by like the rest of us? I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Before the Work Begins podcast, and today I am super excited because I am getting to talk to the wonderful Hayley, who is going to introduce herself now.
Hi, I'm Hayley. I'm a cartoonist and writer, and my graphic memoir, This Might Surprise You, a breast cancer story, came out in September.
Fantastic. So this podcast is all about our mornings and how we spend our mornings, and do we really get up at 5 a.m. and do a cold plunge, or are our mornings a little bit more different to that? Because I think there is a myth around creative people that we are all very regimented and that we all have our shit together, and I want to be really nosy and just get to find out what people's mornings really look like. So what did your morning look like today, Hayley?
Okay, so got up at 6:30. So I live with my husband and our 7-year-old daughter. So obviously we need to get ready for school, but we don't need to leave till 8:30 when we're taking her on the school run. And so we would all rather prefer to get up earlier and have a more relaxed morning, as opposed to sleep in a bit and be rushing around all the time. So he went and had his shower and got dressed, and my daughter got dressed, and they went and had breakfast together while I went and had my shower. And then after I shower, I have to do self-massage every day because I've got lymphedema in my hand, which is because I had breast cancer, they had to take out some of my lymph nodes underneath in my armpit, which means now that my lymphatic system doesn't drain properly, so I get chronic swelling. So I have to wear compression sleeves and do daily self-massage. The way I think about it is it's like a toothpaste tube where you have to get all the which is kind of gross, but it's like, it just feels very sort of low tech. It's like I just have to do this little routine every morning, which when I started it, I think it felt like a real chore, but actually now it's just, I've reframed it. It's sort of a way I sort of look after my body and care for myself. And I do that for about 10 minutes, and I often have a podcast on while I'm doing that. Then my daughter's watching TV downstairs, my husband's gone off to work, and then I go and make myself a nice bowl of porridge and have a nice leisurely breakfast. So it's actually pretty chill.
Sounds absolutely delightful. And would you identify yourself as a morning person then, Hayley?
You know, when you've got children, you just you get up in the morning because you have to, but I've always been quite a morning person anyway. So you know, now the baby toddler years are past and we actually have, like, she sleeps like normal hours, I'm very happy to get up at 6:30. It's absolutely fine.
Do you have to set an alarm, or do you wake up naturally?
We set an alarm, yeah.
And do you have any morning rituals or anything that you would do, Hayley, other than your self-massage?
No, that's it really. So then you know, listening to podcasts, normally listen to like some news politics podcasts, catch up on what's been happening in the world. But yeah, that's just pottering around, you know, putting laundry on, doing the things that need doing.
Can you tell me a little bit about how your work day would look?
Yeah, sure. So today I took my daughter to school. So 2 days a week I do the school run, and then 3 days a week my husband does it. So I do that, and then my husband works full time and I'm freelance, and I do more of the childcare. My schedule's a bit more flexible. So I'll do things like go get groceries and do all, you know, all the bits and bobs, and I try and get out for either a long walk or go swimming at some point in the morning. You know, when I go swimming, that's nice, you know, I see some of the other regulars, so it's nice to sort of make sure I have some social contact throughout the morning as well, because otherwise I'm often just by myself all the time.
I'm the same. My job is the same. So I'm by myself a lot of the time. And does that suit you, or do you think that that's just the way that your job has happened?
I like it, but I'm very social. So I worked in an office for many years, and I did really like being around people and seeing people every day. But commuting's exhausting. A lot of jobs in offices, it's a lot of like pretending to look busy, to put it frankly. And actually, I can get my work done in like 3 hours a day if I put my head down, and I've done as much as I did ever did in a 7 8 hour day in an office.
How do you know that your day is done? Do you set like a word limit, or do you have like I will work for this many hours, or how does it work?
I'm sort of in a bit of a shift. So I was a freelance fundraiser. So I wrote grant proposals, and that was like when I was working in offices, that's what I did. So I did that for pretty much 20 years, been freelance for about the last 5 or 6 years. And now working on a couple of different writing projects, get some, I'm getting some freelance art commissions, and I'm doing content for social media all the time. So I'm sort of doing all sorts of different things, and also applying for grant funding for my own projects. I am very focused, and I sort of get on with things, and it's sort of either when I'm tired, if I've been really focusing, if I'm like reading or writing like really intensely. At the start of each week, I try and have a little think about what do I want to achieve this week, which project should I focus on. And at the start of each day, I think, well, what's realistic for me to achieve today? And then I can do it. And I realise I've got so many projects in my head and I'm excited about all of them. And then I just had to remind myself, I can do them all, but I don't have to do them all today. I could do so. I can save some. I could do something tomorrow, and I could do something the week after. Um, but yeah, I love having this much control over my schedule. It's amazing.
And how do you fit the social media stuff in? Are you very like, this is part of my job, it happens within my 9 to 5, or are you like always checking, and how are your boundaries around social media?
Better than they were. So I joined Instagram in 2023, because I'd started work on the book, the graphic memoir, and I'd had a mentor who was a cartoonist as well. And she said, you should be on Instagram to sort of boost your profile. And I wasn't on any social media at all. And I joined reluctantly. And then immediately I saw it was a really great opportunity for me to sort of find my audience and everything. And also my presence there did ultimately lead to finding my agent and then the book deal as well. I am quite obsessive over stats and things, so I do check them a lot. um, I've now because I've quit my sort of day job and doing this sort of as my job, I try not to write at the weekends and spend that with my family, and so I try not to post on social media at the weekends either, and try and just do that midweek. And I went through a whole like for a year or so I was posting literally every day, which I was loving, but then I sort of started to burn out a bit, and then I realized I can sort of step back. And as I like, my following is growing, which is great, and I realize, as I'm sure you've realized, once you get to a certain stage you need to change your approach slightly and just sort of shift and sort of adjust as you go along, depending on what works for your audience, and but also more importantly what works for you.
Yeah, what's the biggest shift that what go a little bit more into that? What do you mean about the shift that happens as you get bigger?
Because I started from like nothing, I had no following at all, and I was hustling a lot, which was, you have to. So I was reaching out to like other influencers and saying, hello, if you like my cartoons, I'd love to know, and if you wanted to reshare them, etc., that'd be amazing. And some people did and really kindly helped me out, which is fantastic. And I can also look at like repaying that favor to other people as well, which is a great position to be in. Um, and also, I just know I've got a bit more of a sense of what works with my audience. I've also figured out how I want to talk about my work. I found my voice, and I've all my content up to now has been about cancer, and I want to shift and talk about other things alongside the cancer. But that process of posting so much has helped me find my voice and what people respond to, and I think I can carry that across to my next projects. And yeah, I might lose some people because some people will only follow me because it's only the cancer stuff they're interested in, and I will do some of that, but I I don't want to be talking about cancer forever.
Yeah.
Shocking news.
If you're quite driven by stats, then how do you think you're going to emotionally find knowing that in order to change niche or to diversify your niche, you might lose people? What practices are you going to put in place to make sure that that doesn't upset you?
I think I'm going to be all right, because I think I can emotionally detach from that. It's like, well, if I don't if I do worry about people leaving, that will hold me back then I don't want to be driven by fear. It's like I just need to like accept that and be confident that I built it all up from scratch this time. I can build it up from scratch again, but it won't be from scratch because I know that some people will stick around still. So it's like, yeah, if people want to, like, you can't be for everyone. So if I'm more honest and post about the things I want to post about, I'm more likely to find people who enthusiastically respond to that. And I think so much on social media is quite bland and like everyone copies each other and it's so boring. Like I realised quite early on, if I can just do what I want to do and sort of stand out, like people will be attracted to that. So I'll be okay with that. I can, yeah, I do like looking at the stats, but I don't get too emotionally caught up with that, I would say.
That's great. And I love what you're saying there about the trust as well, because it trust in the fact that you now have the skills. It's not just the product, but it's the skills to grow something. I love that. What is your next project then, Hayley?
Well, I am working on a graphic kind of a memoir, so it's completely different. So when I was at university, I went to Cambridge, I studied Anglo-Saxon, Norse and Celtic, and I got into the Picts.
Tell us about the Picts, Hayley.
They lived in Scotland between around the 4th to 10th century, and very little is known about them except they left symbols on stones all over Scotland, and no one knows what the symbols mean. There's sort of like some strange geometric ones, some like appear alongside crosses, and these have bamboozled scholars for centuries and they're so interesting. I mean, I've always been interested in them and I thought at one point in my life I might go and become an academic and I didn't, and that's fine. I want to go and look at stones and do a graphic memoir about me going to look at the stones and figuring out what relevance they have to how we live our lives today and tying it in with modern politics and how we sort of interpret information because they're so mysterious that everyone sort of makes assumptions about them and brings their biases to what they think they mean. And in today's world, there's all this misinformation out there, and we all take our biases and see what we want to see and ignore what we want to ignore, and it's a bit weird, but I've got this big idea in my head that I'm sort of working through, and I've been on some trips already, and it's really exciting. And Julia, who's my agent, she's on board, I think. So we'll see if it can be sold. We'll find out, I guess.
Even better than being an academic, because it means you can just go and do what you really want to do and
Yeah, some
get
weird
you.
creative stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, what is it about the Picts? Sometimes there's things and they just like spark something in you, and you're like, oh, I want to know more about that. What is it about the Picts that's like your thing?
It's the mystery, I think, because there's nothing quite like them that I've seen anywhere else, these symbols. They're not like Egyptian hieroglyphics because those were a whole language, alphabet, whereas there aren't enough to be an alphabet with the Picts. You only get a couple on a stone. And it's just, I find it so interesting that there's this like huge mystery, not quite on my doorstep. I live in London, but like certainly closer than Egypt, and everyone knows about Egyptian hieroglyphs, and so few people really know or think about the Picts, and I just think it's amazing. And now I'm a cartoonist, like because it's so visual. I think I could do something really cool with drawings of the symbols and the landscapes and all of that kind of thing.
And I'm really bad with time, so you can tell me when something was, but are you able to put that in the context of the world? So, with what else was happening in the world when the Picts were around, so I can get that.
It was towards the end of the Roman Empire, so it's
Okay.
from the 4th century to like the 10th century, so like the pre-medieval period. So it's a time period where there just isn't as much we know less about. I mean, we know a lot more about England because there are a lot more records, but in that part of Scotland there's just very little remaining of the Picts. Yeah.
It's really you've I think you've sparked something in me, Haley, because I'm like, but at that time people would have been like traveling and how like there's records of other places. I wonder
Yeah, yeah.
what's your obviously you don't know, but go on, give us a bit of a theory of what you think might have happened to them.
the influence of Christianity probably just sort of overtook them. In terms of what the symbols mean, I mean, there's lots of theories about, are they names? Are they sort of ranks? Are they solar and lunar symbols? There's loads of crazy theories out there. I don't think that's the most interesting question. I think I went on a trip up to Scotland with someone. I asked her, what do you think they mean? And she said, I don't think that's the most the main question to be asking. I think just taking them in and making sure people know that they're there and sort of exploring them in the context of their current environments in the present day. I think there's a lot there that could be done.
So what do you think is the most interesting question of like how it's relevant to now? That's the most interesting question.
Yeah, I think for me, the book will be exploring what can we, in the present day, we are all overwhelmed by, we have so much information just flying at us all the time. If we go and explore a time where we know so little, which is sort of shrouded in mystery, maybe we've got too much information, so maybe we should go back to a time where we've got less information. And I think I'm more interested in the sort of emotional truths more than the sort of factual truths, because the informational truths, because we'll never know probably with the pics. So what kind of emotional truth can we get to? And that sounds a bit woo woo and weird, but yeah, that's sort of where I am with it.
No, I love that. I think that I know exactly what you mean by that, and I totally get that because it's like, well, it's not that it's irrelevant what happened, but it's we'll never know. But what we can do is look at it like with now. And I'm really interested to read your book, Hayley. This sounds
Oh,
absolutely.
thank you.
And when you do your process, will you be doing the cartoons and then writing the thing, or do you make the cartoons and the text together?
I do it together. So for my first book, the one about cancer, I would, because I knew I was sort of doing it as it was happening to me. So I sort of knew how the story was going at least a few pages ahead, and I just work on it a page at a time. And I think, what do I want to say on this page? I sort of script it roughly, plot out the pictures, and sort of do it together. This book's a bit different because cancer treatment follows quite a clear pathway. I knew what was coming up. This book, I don't really know what's coming up. I want my mind to be open to what I might discover when I go on these trips. But because the drawing's taken me a lot longer this time, it's given me lots of time to think and reflect on what I'm doing on that page and what's coming up next. So it's a slightly deeper, slower process, which I think is a really interesting one to go through. Because the cancer book, it was like, I need to get this out of my head, I need to get it down immediately. And I think there was value in that because it was raw, a very raw experience, and I wanted that immediacy. And this is just something a bit different. Yeah, I'm only going for like 3 or 4 days at a time. So I've done 2 trips to Northeast Scotland last year, which were amazing. The first one was 3 nights. I flew up to Inverness and I went to Forres and Elgin, which was amazing. And then last year I took the sleeper up to Inverness again and went to look at some stones in around the Black Isle. And I actually met up with one of my Instagram followers who, similar age to us, she had breast cancer at a similar age, is a former museum curator, and she'd reached out and said, if you're ever in the area, want me to show you around some stones, I will. So I met up with her and she drove me around to some amazing stones, and it was incredible. So there is an overlap between the breast cancer and Pictish communities, apparently. So that's my market.
And when you're away, how do your mornings look? Is there anything that you do to prepare yourself before going and looking around the Picts, or are you just straight out there?
When I got the sleeper train up to Inverness, because it arrives in at like 8 in the morning, and I had been so excited. I hadn't slept very much because I was just overexcited, and also I went to the bar carriage, and because I just wanted to drink a glass of wine, I ended up chatting to these New Zealanders and like having a few drinks. That was awesome. So then I woke up. I was in Inverness at 8 in the morning, bleary eyed. Never been there before in my life. Also couldn't get into my hotel until like 4 p.m. because just normal check-in time. They did let me leave my bag there, but then I was like, I haven't had any sleep and I'm in a city I don't know. But I saw a sign that was pointing to like this ancient hill fort. So I thought I'd walk up to see that at like 8 in the morning. And it was a lot, it took me about 2 hours, but it was really beautiful. So by the time I got into my hotel, I was knackered, but I had a good day. Yeah, it was cool. It was an adventure.
Oh, it sounds like you've got so much creativity like just fizzing in you at the minute. Do you feel
I
really
do, yeah, which
inspired?
is amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you work better when you're in charge of your own time?
Yeah, I think so because I would get frustrated in I feel like when I went freelance, I look back at the office jobs I had and so much of like being in an office is performance. It feels a lot of it is about the performance of work as opposed to actual work. Like I didn't need to be there for 8 hours a day. I could do it in 3 hours and it's like why am I here? And because I had to be there otherwise I wouldn't get paid. So that's why I was there. But um and like some meetings were useful but some meetings were definitely not useful and it's like I could just strip all that away and do my own thing and obviously it's a different kind of work like you can't do all work freelance and like my husband he works for with a team for a company and he really loves that environment and like gets a lot out of it but so I can take it at my own speed. Like I can go and grocery shopping, and on the way I can stop in a cafe and have a cup of coffee and read my book, and just have a nice quiet moment in a day, which is a lot harder if you're just commuting into the city and in an office all day. So, I mean, that feels like a real luxury. It really does. I feel very fortunate to be in this position.
And do you find that it's easy to motivate yourself, or do you ever struggle to get yourself to do the things that you need to do?
I am a very motivated person. I think, especially with a graphic novel, there's so much work. Like writing a novel is time consuming. Doing a graphic novel, if you're doing it all yourself, takes even longer. So it's like, well, if I'm ever going to finish anything ever, I just need to crack on and get on with it. So yes, I'm very motivated. But I think I'm certainly got better over my life in terms of recognizing when I'm knackered and need to be kind to myself and take a break as well.
And what were your mornings like when you were a child? Were they similar or was it different?
Oh goodness, that's a long time ago. I can't really. I mean, I grew up with two brothers who were all very close in age, so it would have been not as calm as it is now, I think. Yeah.
Quite a chaotic, like fun environment.
Yeah, definitely fun. Yeah, we're a very happy family. There was just a lot of us and uh yeah, it was and slightly less space. Yeah, yeah.
And were you a get up and have breakfast all together kind of family?
So when I was primary school age, I can't remember much about it. Yeah, I think we must have been. So I remember like do you remember like reading the back of the cereal box packet? Like, I think we all like fought over who would do that first and everything. Yeah.
And if you didn't have to do any work, say your husband wasn't at work, your little girl wasn't at school, what would your ideal morning look like then?
At the end of last year, I was thinking about New Year's resolutions, and I decided, I'm very motivated and, always setting goals for myself. I thought I'm going to go the opposite way, and I've decided my New Year's resolution was to have breakfast in bed more often. So my husband now on Sundays brings me breakfast in bed. So I think it's the ultimate New Year's resolution because it requires someone else to do something for you.
What's the breakfast he brings you?
Well, to be fair, it's sourdough bread which I bake, so he gets something out of it too. I mean, he's very happy to bring me breakfast in bed. It's fine, but I just realize, I work very hard, and it's like, oh, well, I should be kind to myself. In the past, I've not been very good at asking for things that I would actually quite like, and that, my husband, he'd be welcome to say no if he can do it for whatever reason, but he's very happy to oblige. So. It's just a luxurious start to the weekend morning. Yeah,
That's such a lovely way to start your morning. So what do you have
yeah.
in your sourdough bread then? Do you have it with something or on its own?
Toasted with honey and then coffee and orange juice as well. And my husband is really into his coffee. We've got like a bean grinder, so and he like knows all these different ways to make a really good cup of coffee. So it's very nice. Yeah.
And you get the smell as well then, because if you get the toast and coffee smell, so it'll feel all Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, it's lovely.
And what if you were on holiday, what would your holiday morning look like?
So we went to France last year, and we'd wake up and me or my husband would go out to buy pastries and bring them back and um, have coffee and share the pastries together. Yeah, just which is really nice.
Was it like a beach holiday or was it more like in a village?
That was Rennes in Brittany. So it's the capital of Brittany. It's a really beautiful city, sort of cobbled streets and lots of lovely bakeries and lots of really good vintage shops as well. So I really loved it there.
What would your absolute ideal day look like? If you can pick a work day, you can pick a holiday day, just like any day, what would your ideal day look like?
A weekend day would be start with me being brought breakfast in bed, and then get the Sunday papers, read them in the morning, have lunch as a family, go out for a nice afternoon walk, and then come back and I might cook a sort of dinner that takes like a long time to cook, but doesn't require too much effort, like a nice stew or something like that, and then share some wine in the evening with my husband and curl up on the sofa and read. I love reading, so I like one of my favourite things to do is a glass of wine and a good book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a perfect way to spend an evening. Are you an early to bed person or?
Yeah, early-ish because we get up quite early, so that's our routine. But I'm very happy to go out and stay out late. I mean, I'm not really a clubber. I'm not out till 2 in the morning, but like to go out with friends and stay out with a nice dinner or something, I really enjoy that.
And have your mornings changed much since before the cancer and now?
It's sort of hard. It's funny because cancer was such a big line in my life in the sand that it's sort of hard to. Because before that, actually, my daughter was very young, so she was 3 when I was diagnosed. So before my diagnosis, it was the baby and toddler years. So mornings were a bit earlier than 6:30, quite a lot of the time. And then when I was going through chemo, I was so tired. I was not a morning person. I mean, I wasn't a any time of day person during chemo. um, I think I just checked. My life went through such intense phases of change, like in a short period of time. It's sort of hard to reflect in the long term way on that kind of thing, really.
It's hard to know which bit was which as well. Like, is it the baby growing up, or is it the cancer, or is it the just change in circumstances or getting older? It's hard sometimes to say like what exactly has caused
Yeah,
shift.
yeah, exactly.
So imagine you're at the end of your life and you're looking back and you're allowed to go back to one morning. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to say exactly like March 15th or anything. It can be like a time in my life. But where would you go back to live one more morning?
Oh, do you know what? I was just thinking about when I was breastfeeding my daughter. So I went back to work. I was still doing just one breastfeed a day in the morning. So you'll spot the theme here. So what would happen is in the morning, my husband would bring me my daughter. I'd breastfeed her. He'd go and make me breakfast. He'd bring it to me. You can see that this is something that is very important to me. He'd bring me like a bagel and a cup of coffee. So I'd have my breakfast while I was breastfeeding her, and like I might be listening to a podcast or some reading, and I just she finished and I just lie there and look at her little face, and it was just a lovely cozy way to start the day. So yeah, those breakfasts in bed are going to stay with me, aren't they?
So do you find it easy to relax then? You seem like a really content, like happy person overall. Do you find it quite easy to relax?
No,
No.
not at all. Well, I think sometimes, but I've had anxiety on and off my whole life, so I think I'm just better at managing it now. It's like, okay, this is just part of who I am. It's always going to be there. I'm never going to be a not anxious person, but I think I'm a bit more self-aware about what the signs are, and it's like, um, oh, I might be anxious about, I don't know, if is something in my house leaking? Is there a maintenance issue? It's like maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but maybe I should just go away and have a cup of tea and not think about it for a bit. Or actually, more seriously, you know, if I feel like is there a lump or something different in my breast because the clinic has told me, you know, any concerns come back to us, which is all well and good, but it's like, well, if I had went back for literally every lump, I'd be there like every week, and that's no way to live. So it's like, okay, does that feel different? I'm not sure. What I'll do, I'll come back to it in a couple of days and try not to think about it. And then if I'm still concerned, it's like, is it in my head or is it an actual thing? I'm trying to figure out, because anxiety can just sort of lie to you so much and make your mind spiral. It's sort of being aware of, is it in my head or is it a real thing? And but yeah, things like breakfast in bed and looking after myself has helped me. Like, I am, yeah, but then I am also quite happy. I am a very happy, optimistic person. It's just, we all contain multitudes, don't we?
Yeah. And do you find that your drawing and your writing helps you process things like that?
That's an interesting one, because with the cancer book, people would say to me, "Oh, it must have been really cathartic, um, writing that book," and I would say, "Well, actually, no, it wasn't, because to create art out of a difficult experience, you have to revisit that difficult experience and sit in it again, and that's actually very difficult. But the process of drawing, or just expressing yourself, can does actually help. It can help with anxiety, or sometimes if my mind is just fizzing with thoughts, I just need to get out of them. If I work on my book or something, and it's often not so much about what I'm expressing, it's about just the process of doing something mindful.
And were you always creative? Have you always been a kid that doodled and wrote stories and made plays and things?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I was going through some old papers recently. I was like, I found a comic I made when I was like 11. I found at my school sports day, I drew a cartoon for the program and things like that. So yeah, throughout my whole life. Yeah.
So what did you say that you studied history at Cambridge?
Anglo-Saxon, Norse, and Celtic. So that was history, early medieval languages and literature. Because I thought I was going to apply for English literature because I love reading so much. But then I was looking at the Cambridge website and I saw they had this course, and I thought, wow, that just looks awesome. And my dad, he was always really into like early medieval history and authors like Tolkien, which isn't, that's not quite the same thing, but like that whole. My dad actually, he used to go live action role playing, like dressing up in chainmail as like a warrior and all that kind of stuff. So that sort of vibe was always in my family. I went on a couple of those as well, and yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, but I didn't tell them that at my Cambridge interview because it wouldn't have been sounded serious enough.
So what did your mornings look like at Cambridge?
Oh goodness, this was 20 years ago. Well, Cambridge is quite intense as a place, but one of the weird things about it is that you eat all your meals in hall, like, so because you don't get proper cooking facilities in your house or your flat usually. So I was in one of the oldest colleges. So every meal I go and have it in. So you there's like a canteen where you put stuff on a tray, and then you go and sit in this ancient hall to eat your breakfast. And the breakfast is like just some like bog standard yogurt or whatever, but you're in this wood panelled amazing room. And actually, the really nice thing about having all your meals in college, I'd go back there for lunch and for dinner, unless I was eating dinner out or whatever. And it was really nice because meals are only served at a certain time of day, so you see all your friends there because you'd all converge at the same time, so you'd always have someone to sit next to. So it was actually a really nice social start to the day. And given at Cambridge you're all in your lectures or studying so hard, it's nice to have those points where you come together to see each other.
Was it really visceral to be working doing history in a place that is like literally being in a historical film with
Oh, it
those?
was amazing. It was just like, I had a normal upbringing, sort of middle class, and I went to this place where, um, yeah, just like incredible, like dreaming spires, and we had to go to our matriculation dinner wearing gowns, and there's a whole thing about which way you pass the port. I didn't know any of this, and it was kind of overwhelming, but I got caught up in the magic of it as well, definitely. And yeah, I had an amazing time.
And do you ever go back to Cambridge?
Yeah, I love visiting. I went actually last year for because every so often they'll invite your year group back for a reunion dinner. So I went and had last year and had a dinner in that old hall again, and I stayed in college that night. And yeah, it was lovely. And a lot of people there I hadn't seen in like 20 years, and they all look pretty much the same. And it was really nice to see them. Yeah.
Did it feel like a deliberate decision to do something that's like so completely different to the cancer memoir? Did you feel like you had to like say, right, I'm going to do something that's so completely different, or do you think it was more that the cancer memoir was like an interruption of something that was going to happen anyway?
The reason I'm a published author is because I had cancer. I mean, that's
Mm.
not the only thing but lots of people have cancer and don't get books published. But because I've been trying to get published my whole life, I've written 5 novels before this one. But looking back, I don't think I'd really ever found my voice or figured out what I wanted to say. Cancer gave me something to say, and I found my voice through expressing my story. And now I'm carrying that into the next thing. And I'm very glad I could say all that about cancer. But if I don't move on from cancer, I'll be talking about cancer for the rest of my life. And I probably always will, because it's such a huge thing that still affects me. When I signed with Julia, I said to her, I have one cancer book in me, and this is it. And after that, I want to move on. And she was very supportive of that. So I think it sort of opened the doors and then the pics, because I was interested in them 20 years ago at uni. It sort of, I was thinking about what else I wanted to do, and there's like, also because of the way my life went, was had a baby, then there was COVID, and then there was cancer. So I hadn't been on holiday for like blooming ages, and I just thought I want to go somewhere just by myself. And I thought I'll go to Scotland and look at some Pictish symbols, and sort of that's where it all went. It was sort of like a an urge to sort of go and have an adventure, because I hadn't had an adventure in a long time.
There's a real magic to Scotland, isn't there? There's like a real pull that people feel
Mm.
to,
Have you been?
especially.
Where have you been in Scotland?
Well, I went to university in Glasgow,
Oh,
so
nice.
I lived in Glasgow for 5 years. I used to live term time in Glasgow, and then I would spend the summer in Edinburgh, and do the Fringe. But then we'd went to Orkney. Actually, I
Oh,
spent some time in
amazing.
Orkney. But there is like a palpable magic in the air there, and especially women in their mid age, there's just something. Sometimes there's like a pull to Scotland. What do you think that is? Why do you think we're all just enamored with Scotland?
Well, it's stunning. It's beautiful, isn't it? Before I went to Cambridge, actually, I spent the summer as a volunteer on Iona. So I volunteered in the Abbey there for 7 weeks, and that's a magic place. It really is. There's just, yeah, it's, and it's not just us Brits, it sort of captures the imagination of people across the world, doesn't it?
Especially the Americans. The Americans absolutely
Mhm.
love Scotland, which I can get. I get. Yeah, there just must be something in the cultural story that brings you to Scotland.
Mhm, mhm.
If you were at a hotel buffet, a breakfast buffet, what would your strategy be?
Um, I think it would depend on my plans for the day. If I was going to be really active and walking a lot, I might treat myself to a full English. But if I normally wouldn't go for that, because I feel like they're delicious, but I feel very weighed down by them. I'd probably go for like a pastry and a piece of fruit and a nice coffee.
Oh,
It
nice.
depends on how good the pastries look, though. Like because when you're at a buffet, sometimes everything looks nice and sometimes it looks a bit tired and stale. So it's like I would, if the pastries didn't look good enough, I might go for toast and cereal instead. Yeah,
Oh, you do toast and cereal at a buffet.
maybe it depends on the quality, doesn't it?
It does depend on the quality. And are you a plain or chocolate or fruit pastry?
But all of those equally, yeah.
Just all of them. And you said your husband was into coffee, but are you a
Mhm.
coffee or a tea drinker?
Oh, both. Coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon. Decaf tea in the evening. I drink a lot of coffee and tea. I love it.
Well, this has been absolutely delightful, Hayley. I'm so glad that we got to have this chat, and thank you
Yeah,
so
me
much.
too.
Thank you
I
so
bet you didn't
much.
think anticipate talking about Pictish symbols as much as we have.
I was kind of hoping that you would talk about it actually, because
Oh, good.
you mentioned it on your Instagram a couple of times, and I thought, oh, I hope she does talk about that, because it's the kind of thing where it's just interesting, isn't it?
I'm glad you think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I do too.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I think there's something, because you're so passionate about it, there's something really beautiful, and like it makes me passionate when people are
Oh,
when people are talking about something that they're really passionate about, and you're like, oh, this is exciting.
oh, that's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love hearing people talk about things that they're passionate about. Lovely to meet you, Hayley.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to Before the Work Begins podcast with me, Jo Hutton. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you always get to hear the brand new episodes of this podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Jo Hutton Yoga, and of course on Substack at Yoga for Tired People.